Welcome back, everybody. Haunted Beard here. Thank you for joining me today. So what I wanted to do is give you an update on my most anticipated horror movies for 2023 for the remainder of the year. And I'm going to just simply go through the rest of the calendar year, everything that is on the schedule right now that is on my radar that I'm interested in. So without further ado, here we go. So kicking things off, coming out on July 28th is the latest from A24, and that is Talk to Me. This is a horror thriller and tells a story of this group of friends who play this new game where they can conjure spirits through this embalmed hand. They eventually become hooked on this new thrill until one of them goes too far and unleashes terrifying supernatural forces. Look, I'm a huge A24 fan. If you haven't yet, check out my A24 tier list video that I just dropped. But yeah, I am a big fan. The vast majority of their stuff I just love and think are pretty great. So the fact that this is A24 already has my expectations elevated and my interest peaked. Also, too, just the pre-release buzz for this has also been pretty good as well. Caught a few glimpses of the trailer a little bit, and so it looks pretty intriguing, so I'm definitely looking forward to this one. Also coming out on July 28th is Sympathy for the Devil. This is an action thriller starring the one and only Nicolas Cage, also Joel Kinnaman. And after being forced to drive a mysterious passenger at gunpoint, a man finds himself in a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, where it becomes clear that not everything is as it seems. And the main selling point, for me anyway, is Nicolas Cage, and having seen a little bit of the trailer, his performance in here looks all kinds of good, and it has me excited. I don't have super high expectations for this one, but I think it looks like it should be at least a pretty good fun time. So that is Sympathy for the Devil, coming out July 28th. Coming out on August 11th is The Last Voyage of the Demeter. And this is based on a single chapter of the captain's log from Bram Stoker's classic novel Dracula, set aboard the Russian ship Demeter. And I'll be honest with you, I saw a little bit of the trailer in this one, and my expectations dropped down a little bit. The creature effects don't look all that great to me. It looks like they went more the CGI route than the practical route. So I'm not entirely sure. I'm kind of on the fence with this one. The one little bit of the saving grace, though, for me is the director, Andre Overdahl. He did a film called The Autopsy of Jane Doe, which I was a big fan of, so I'm kind of holding on to hope. Still looks like it might be pretty decent, but like I said, kind of on the fence for this one. We'll have to see what happens. But yeah, that comes out August 11th, Last Voyage of the Demeter. Also coming out on August 11th is a new Shudder original film that is Elevator Game, and this is a supernatural horror film that is based on the online phenomenon, which is this ritual conducted in an elevator in which players attempt to travel to another dimension using a set of rules that can be found online. And the synopsis here has me intrigued more than anything, as I believe I read that this was actually loosely based on some true crime cases. I know the Elisa Lam case was one of the big ones where you've seen that footage of her in the elevator. And so I think they kind of took something of that sort of idea and made it into a feature-length film. But yeah, I'm intrigued in this one. The synopsis sounds pretty interesting, so we'll see what happens. Also coming out on August 11th is another A24 film called Medusa Deluxe, and this is more of a dramatic mystery, but this one really sounds interesting. This is a murder mystery set in a competitive hairdressing contest. Extravagance and excess collide as the death of a contestant sows seeds of division in a community whose passion for hair verges on obsession. And like I said, just that synopsis alone just sounds so weird and unique, though. And seeing little bits of the trailer, this one looks like it has a pretty interesting kind of visual presentation to it. And if memory serves, I read something that the entire thing is filmed in one continuous take, which also sounds pretty cool as well. But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen another movie set in a competitive hairstyling competition, and a murder mystery set in that sort of situation. I just can't help but be intrigued. So yeah, Medusa Deluxe, I can't wait for that one. Coming out on August 25th is another Shudder original, and this is called Bad Things. We don't have an official poster or trailer for it. We just have a couple press images. But this one tells the story of a group of friends who go to a hotel for a weekend getaway, and they soon discover that women do bad things. Pretty vague synopsis there, but kind of intriguing. I like the image that they released, and so Shudder film, we'll see what happens, but it's on my radar. September 1st sees another Shudder film, and that is Perpetrator. And this one hit the film festival circuit earlier this year, has got some pre-release buzz for it. This one also sounds pretty interesting as well. Johnny Baptiste is a reckless teen sent to live with her estranged Aunt Hilde. On the event of her 18th birthday, she experiences a radical metamorphosis. When several teen girls go missing at her new school, a mythically feral Johnny goes after the perpetrator. Some of the images they've released for this look intriguing. Caught parts of the trailer as well. Looks like there might be some sort of, obviously, metamorphosis, body horror aspect to it as well. And so, yeah, we'll see what happens with this one, but it's on my radar. I'm intrigued. Coming out on September 8th is the latest from Greek director Yorgos Lanthimos, and that is Poor Things. This one stars Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone, and this tells the story of the incredible tale about the fantastical evolution of Bella Baxter, a young woman brought back to life by the brilliant and unorthodox scientist Dr. Godwin Baxter. Now, this one is described as a romantic sci-fi, but having seen Yorgos' previous films, most of them anyway, even if this isn't a straight-up horror, you can be sure that there is going to be some weird, dark, and twisted stuff in this, as this is, I think, a bit of kind of a unique take on a Frankenstein-type story, and just seeing some of the visuals and the imagery from the trailer, it really has me intrigued. It looks just gorgeous in the cinematography. I think obviously Willem Dafoe and Emma Stone are both fantastic, so this one definitely has me intrigued. I know you're going to be in for something weird and unique, but yeah, Poor Things coming out September 8th. I'm looking forward to it. Coming out on September 15th is the latest and the concluding chapter in the latest Hercule Poirot trilogy, and that is A Haunting in Venice, starring Kenneth Branagh as the famed detective. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't been a big fan of the previous two installments. They've been okay, but the fact that this one has more of a horror element to it has given me some hopes. This one is set in post-World War II Venice, and Poirot, who is now retired and living in his own exile, reluctantly attends a seance. But when one of the guests is murdered, it is up to the former detective to once again uncover the killer. And I'm just a sucker for these types of stories. Like I said, even though I haven't been a huge fan of the previous two installments, I have some hope that they'll be able to do something good here. But I like the character. I like Agatha Christie. I like the murder mysteries. So I'm hoping they can end the trilogy on a strong note. Fingers crossed. Coming out on September 22nd is Drive Away Dolls. This is an action crime thriller from Ethan Coen, and the Coen brothers are some of my absolute all-time favorites. But Ethan Coen is going at it solo without his brother. But this one looks interesting. I'm definitely intrigued. It tells the story of Jamie, who, having recently broken up with her girlfriend, is in search of a fresh start. She embarks on an unexpected road trip to Tallahassee, but things go quickly awry when she crosses paths with a group of inept criminals. This one stars Matt Damon, Pedro Pascal, and Margaret Qualley, who was in the film Sanctuary from earlier this year, which I quite enjoyed. But yeah, got quite a good cast. Love the director, and he's also writing the film as well, so hoping this one turns out good. Next up, and they just changed the release date on this, it is now coming out on September 29th. That is Saw X, or Saw 10. And I'll be honest with you here, I don't really have very much expectations for this whatsoever. This seemed like a franchise to me that probably just needs to die, but I will fully reserve the right to be wrong, and I hope that they're able to do something that makes this a worthwhile experience. This is said to take place in between the events of Saw 1 and 2, where John Kramer goes down to Mexico to seek some sort of alternative medical treatment for his cancer, but he finds out that the people he's seeking treatment from are there to just swindle and manipulate and steal from people, and so he exacts his very particular brand of revenge, setting up a whole new bunch of traps, and, well, you know what happens. So, anyways, yeah, like I said, don't really have much expectations for this, but I hope I'm wrong. If they can at least give me like a 6 out of 10 movie here, I'll be thrilled. So, we'll see. Coming out on October 13th is The Exorcist, directed by David Gordon Green, who you may know just gave us the most recent Halloween trilogy, which I have very mixed feelings on, to put it simply. But anyways, this is a sequel to the 1973 film about a 12-year-old girl who is possessed by a mysterious demonic entity, forcing her mother to seek the help of 2 priests to save her. So I'll just come right out and say it. I have actually never seen the original Exorcist movie. And I know I just probably committed horror blasphemy, but it is certainly the most classic horror film that I have yet to see. I've seen the vast majority of other horror classics, but that is just one that has slipped through the cracks through some reason. But I'm kind of intrigued on this. I'm probably going to have to actually watch the original now before I watch this, but I don't really have super high hopes for it. Like I said, I was pretty mixed on the Halloween trilogy, so this one could go either way. You're certainly playing with fire when you're trying to remake one of the very greatest, most influential and important horror movies of all time. I know it's not a remake, it's a sequel, but still, even delving into that territory just seems like you're playing with fire. But like I said in the last one, I reserve the right to be wrong. We'll see what happens. Coming out on October 20th is the latest from one of my all-time favorite directors, Martin Scorsese, and that is Killers of the Flower Moon. And this one also has hit some of the festival circuit and has been getting pretty great reviews. And this one has a lot going on. It is described as a history, drama, crime, mystery, thriller, and western, as it tells a story that is based on a true story. And that story involves members of the Osage tribe in the United States are being murdered under mysterious circumstances in the 1920s, and it sparks a major FBI investigation involving J. Edgar Hoover. And this one stars 2 Scorsese staples in Robert De Niro and Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, what more do you want right there? With the director, the cast, and just the story, this thing just looks fantastic. I caught glimpses of the trailer as well. This is probably my most anticipated film for the remainder of the year. I cannot wait to see this. Next up, coming out on October 27th is Five Nights at Freddy's, and I would be willing to bet this is probably why Saw 10 got bumped back to when it did, because it was actually in competition with this. But they decided, yeah, let's not do that. But anyways, Five Nights at Freddy's stars Josh Hutcherson and the one and only Matthew Lillard, and it tells the story of a troubled security guard who begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. During his first night on the job, he realizes that the night shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to get through. Pretty soon, he will unveil what actually happens at Freddy's. And the big highlight for this is that it is based off of the video game, which, to be honest with you, I have never played or don't really know anything about. So my expectations on this are pretty mild and moderate, just not really having any sort of familiarity with the story. Having seen parts of the trailer, it looks okay. I'll kind of obviously reserve judgment until I see it. There's not really much there, though, that really has me all that interested. It just looks like it's about a haunted pizza parlor with these robots that go crazy and start killing things, I guess, and they are a bunch of bears. So I don't know. I'm sure I'm probably completely wrong. But yeah, that's what I gathered from what I got out of it. But we'll see what happens. Next up on November 3rd, and I'll just keep this one brief because it's not a horror movie, but I am definitely looking forward to it, and that is Dune Part 2. Love Denis Villeneuve. I thought the first Dune was pretty great, so I'm really looking forward to him wrapping up this 2-part movie. Yeah, November 3rd can't get here fast enough. I'm really excited. Coming out on November 17th is the latest from Eli Roth, and that is Thanksgiving, and this is based on the fake Grindhouse trailer that he put together many years ago when him and Robert Rodriguez and Tarantino paired up for Grindhouse, but then Eli Roth made a fake trailer that was played during the movie, something like that. Anyways, what a weird sort of origin story for how a feature-length film got birthed, but either way. Look, Eli Roth for me is kind of hit or miss. Not a huge fan, don't hate the guy. I don't know. We'll see what happens with this one. I don't really have high hopes or very much expectations, but, you know, it might be a good time. We'll see. All right, I've got 3 more that I'm going to just hit real quick. These 3 are still on the TBD list. They have not been given an official release dates, but I still feel pretty confident they'll be out this year. The first one is It's a Wonderful Knife, and this one is most likely going to be coming out around the Christmas time. Obviously, it's a bit of a play on the classic It's a Wonderful Life, which I am a huge fan of. It is a staple in my family. We watch it for Christmas every year. And so this is obviously a bit of a take on that. And so I'm kind of intrigued. It could be really terrible and cheesy and awful, but I have some hopes. It stars Joel McHale and Justin Long. And so I'm hoping that them introducing a horror element into the It's a Wonderful Life story might at least be worth watching. So that's the first one. The next one up is Salem's Lot. And this is obviously based on the Stephen King book. This one, too, has been completed for quite some time, but has just kind of been sitting there. And not really any new updates for this. I know about as much now as I did when at the beginning of the year. I did an anticipated video at the beginning of the year and talked about Salem's Lot, and it didn't have a release date then either. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I still am hoping that it'll come out this year. It is completed, but it's just sitting there, so who knows. Finally, though, is Maxine, the capping off of the Pearl X trilogy from Ty West, and still don't have a release date for it yet, but I'm hopeful that it'll be out by the end of this year. I can't wait. I love Pearl, I loved X, and I am highly anticipating Maxine, so hopefully that gets a release date soon. But that covers it. That is everything that is on my radar for the rest of the year. I know there's going to be more stuff. I'm fully expecting Shudder to do another 61 Days of Halloween this year, so every Friday through September and October, I'm assuming we're going to be getting a Shudder film that drops, and if so, I'm planning on reviewing all of those just like I did last year. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. Lots of good stuff, lots of anticipated horror films coming out for the last few months of the year. Looking forward to it. That's all I got for you. Like always, hit that subscribe button. It's all horror and thriller movie content here, and I'll see you next time on The Haunted Beard.